Ernie,
Boker Tov.
wow, you look very elegant in the morning there. So nice.
Thank you.
Maria, what are you, in the cloud or something? You're in the middle of a cloud, in the middle of the sky.
Okay, we're on Nun Dalid. I'm teaching. I can only teach tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., not 8 a.m.
Yeah, I can make it.
Because
Yeah. Do it at 7:30.
I don't know when Shabbos is here. I think
Shabbos is later than 5:30, 6:30. I don't know what time Shabbos is by you.
well, if it's 6:30, then I can teach it at 8 o'clock in the morning. But Shabbos is not at 6 p.m. here.
I don't know. Can you find out from somebody? Shabbos in Yerushalayim.
1 second.
Chaim, Walter.
Chaim, how was the market? Must have been a good day on the market. Did you drink?
Yeah, it was a good day. Stayed positive and things turned and went my way.
The question is, did they go some other people's ways? That's it.
True.
Huh?
All good.
Chaim. Chaim.
You have a cigar, I have tequila.
It's okay. I don't only have a cigar, it's the Chaim too.
What are you drinking?
I don't drink tequila. That's not for me.
You're not a Latino like me.
I drink a little whiskey, the Chaim. It's the end of the week.
You didn't respond to my picture of the house that I want to buy together.
Sure, right. No, thank you. If there's no response, that there's no. This is not in my.
It's on a golf course, Walter. You would
Great.
love it.
I'm sure I would. My wife would. I would be living in that house, and she would be living in this house. And I tell you, if you can get me a rate of 2 3/8, I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah, maybe in 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure if we can live that long. That for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, who knows when it'll be again. I guess Ernie must have gone to look for a luach or something.
Looks like he's in a nice place. Where is he in Eretz Yisrael?
Must be by Yaakov. Yaakov has a nice place on the top of one of the Wolfson buildings.
Wow. Tachlis.
Why not? Deserves it. It's a good boy.
A doctor. I was at a South African wedding last night.
Daf Yomi will be at 8 o'clock in the morning.
What time is Shabbos? Yeah.
Candle lighting is 6:27.
Beautiful.
So we'll learn at 8 in the morning. We're on Nun Dalid. Actually, Nun Gimel Amid Beis. Boy Rabbi Yezer Bas Shniya Yesh La Mezonos Ve'en La Mezonos. You have a daughter that was born from a relationship with a Shniya Midrabana, not an Erva Midoraisa, but Shniya Midrabanon, where because you married somebody that Chazal don't want you to marry, there's a knas that there's no ksuba given. So since Mizonos for a bas, after the father's death.
Just parenthetically,
yes.
I mean, if there's no kasuba, that's bad for the woman. That would cause her to hold back. But for the husband, he'd be motivated. He'd want to marry a woman without a kasuba. It's good for him.
Yeah, but it's usher.
I'm just
It's
saying, if the Isser isn't going to stop them, the fact that there's no ksuba is not a chov on him. So it's just a detraction for the woman. That's all I'm saying.
Correct. It's certainly the knas is put in there to disincentivize a woman to agree to it.
Right. It doesn't disincentivize him at all.
Exactly. So then they ask. So the question is, in a normal situation, let me go outside. I don't want to hang on 1 second.
Well, he has a bad reputation. He doesn't want a reputation of marrying a woman he's not supposed to marry. That's what, going around the community.
Hold on. Where are we holding? I lost the place for a second. Where are we holding?
I think at the top, I think at the bottom of Nud Gimel Amud Base.
Ernie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Nud Gimel,
Where are we holding exactly?
Nun Gimel Amud Beis on the bottom.
at the 2 dots, Walter.
Okay.
Wow, nice view.
That's the Wolfson building.
Beautiful.
1 second. So in a normal situation, after the death of a father, the Ksuba says that the Yisomim, meaning the estate, have to provide mizonos for the daughters, meaning their sister, until she gets married. So the question is, here where there's no Ksuba, do the bas get mizonos or not? Kevin de Leslie, now we're on Nun Daled Amid Aleph, 54. Kevin de Leslie Ksuba Leslie Mizoni. Well, it's very simple. Since the Chachamim made a knas to her, and there's no ksuba, so there's no mizonos. Odilma, ima de avda isura kansura bonon. Who made the isur? The mother, by marrying, even though there was a shnia midrabanon. So that's who was given the knas. Ihi, the bas, the loy avda isura. The bas never did anything wrong. Lo kansura bonon. So perhaps the mizonos are still paid. So therefore, teku. Halacha is Rambam Sefer Noshim Hilchos Ishus Perak Yud Tes Halacha Yud Daled and Shulchan Aruch Even Ezer Kuf Yud Beis Bas Haisha Asur Labayla Mishum Shnia, the daughter of a woman that was usher to marry her husband because of Shnia Midrabanan. Ubasa Arusa Shanolda Labaoda Arusa. Let's say a man gave Kiddushin. You're not supposed to live with her until after Nisuin, but he lived with her. And they had a bas out of that. Ubasa Nusa, you rape a girl. Now remember, you have a chiyuv to marry her and never to divorce her. Ein lahen mizonos la'achar misas avian, mikoch t'nai ksuba. Ava b'chayav u'chayav b'mizonos sein. While he's alive, he's chayav b'mizonos. After his death, since there's no ksuba in these situations, there's no chiyuv to pay for the mizonos for the bas. Because it was a teku. And in Dine Mamanis, like Elazar always likes to say, and there's no right because it's a suffix. how we paskin. So that's an interesting halacha psuka. Boy Rava, basarusa, right? A man had relations with his wife that he had given kiddushin, but before nisuin, and from that bia they had a bas. We asked the same question: Yesh la mizonos or ein mizonos? Kiva like ksuba. Here the mother meikar adin has a ksuba because people wrote ksubas even at the time of kiddushin, and if he'd written one, she would be zoiche in a ksuba. So maybe Isla, the daughter, would have mizonos. O Dilma, kivan de lotakin rabbanon ksuvat shas nesuin. The ksuba is only given by nesuin, right? That's why when we go to a wedding, the ksuba is written or is read to the kahal after the hareyat mekudesh asli, right? First there's kiddushin given, then they read the ksuba, then there's mesira of the ksuba to the woman under the chuppah, which is nesuin, and that completes the nesuin. So it's given b'shas nesuin. So and here in this case, the bas was born before nesuin. Was born after kiddushin. Because remember, at the time the Gemara is talking about, there was like a 6-month or longer delay between kiddushin and nesuin. So maybe based on that, less late. Since there was no nesuin, she doesn't get mizonos. Again, tekun. That's why the halacha psuka was that she doesn't get. Boy Rav Papa, basanusa. A man raped a woman, and they have a daughter. Yesh la mizonos or ein la mizonos. So alibad Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda loti boy lecha da amar yesh la ksuba moneh. Rabbi Yossi, remember, there's a knas paid either to the father or to her. So the shaila is the knas considered the ksuba or not, the money? So Rabbi Yossi said no, that there's still a ksuba. She's not a besula anymore. So besula gets 200, but a beula only gets 100 mana. So there's no shaila because there's a ksuba. So there's so no question that the bas would get mizonos after the death of the father. Kiti balach alibid rabbanon. The Amr Yatsa Kesef Knasa Biksubasa. The Chachamim hold that she got the Kesef Knas because of the rape, so she has no ksuba anymore, money wise. Oy Dilma Ksuba time of my Kadesh lo take Kalabein Avlotsia. Kenny asked, what's the whole point of a ksuba? Point of a ksuba is not to make it easy for a husband to get rid of the wife, because there's financial penalty. He has to pay a large sum of money if he divorces her. So that's why we don't allow men and women to live together without a ksuba, because we don't want to make it easy on the man to just throw her out. So there's a ksuba. However, lo matzi mafikla. The din by raping a woman is, the Torah says, you may never divorce her. It says, lo yuchal shalcha kol yamav. One of the dinim is you marry her, and that's as long as she agrees to it, and you can't divorce her. So since the whole point of having a ksuba doesn't exist in this relationship, because he can't divorce her anyways, maybe.
Yeah, but he can die though. So
Given as
that
the
puts
is honest. But since and anyways, the Tnai Ksubas exist, and Bas being amazing, the daughters are part of the Tnai Ksuba. So maybe on that side, he would have to give him results. So again, the Gemara answers Teku. And we paskin that he does these, there's no chiyuv to do so.
Yeah, but she doesn't want the divorce, but he dies though. That's what the ksuba is for. The ksuba is not so he won't divorce her. The ksuba is for he dies. So
no, but
not,
the
so So therefore she needs a ksuba.
Since no, there, even according to the Rabbanon hold, when you pay knas, there is no
I
ksuba.
see. That's
Or do we
that's-
say, or do we
Uh-huh.
say the fact that he can't divorce her is like it's in place of the ksuba, and therefore the t'nai ksuba exists, is how the Rishonim learn here.
I see. So the knas is what is it takes the place.
The knas takes the place of the ksuba.
If he dies,
What was that?
because if he dies, then she should. Yeah.
Okay. So then it says, Ate Yasu Bevesi. One of the Tanai Ksuba is the Almana, the widow, is allowed to stay in the house as long as she's a widow until she gets married to somebody else. Tani Rav Yosef. Bevesi velo bevikasi. That's only if I have a house for you. But if I have a little cabin, because if in the house there's no place that's suited for her, so there's no chiyuv on the yorshim to provide a place for her. Bebesi v'lo bevikasi, meaning if the husband's house is not set up, they don't have to go buy another house or add an extension to the house or build a tzrif cotton. Aval mezoini isle, but it doesn't remove the chiyuv to provide mezonos for her, just because he doesn't have a makom for her. Mar baravashi amar filu mezonos nami lesle. Because there's no bias, there's no mezonos either. The mezonos is only if she lives in the base baila. However, less hilchos a kamar baravashi. The halacha is not like that. She gets the mezonos. Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. Tavuli nase vinispaiso. You have an almana, right? The husband died, and she's getting mezonos from the estate. And another man has talked her into getting married, and she's agreed. There isn't nesuin yet, but she's agreed. She's moving forward with getting married to somebody else. Ein la mezonos. Once she agrees, the estate doesn't have to pay mezonos anymore. So the Gemara says, "Halon is so yesh la mezonos." What? So if he hasn't agreed, there's still mezonos. Amra vanan l'didim ifashuli minei demar Shmuel. Amra machmas ploini bali. If the reason she has not gotten married yet to the new guy is because she says, you know what? I still feel connected to my old husband. So then, yesh la mezonos. Machmas bnei adam she'enam uganim lo. But if she says, you know, there's a lot of men that want to marry me, I'm not agreeing yet because they're not worthy of me. They're a bunch of bums. But otherwise, she would be prepared to get married. She'd be willing to get married to somebody else. Ein la mezonos. And meaning once an almana goes to the Beis Din and says, okay, I'm thinking about getting married. I want my ksuba starting to be paid out, then she loses mezonos. Mishas hatvia, from the time she goes to Beis Din and claims, even though that's only in Beis Din. If it was not in Beis Din, she doesn't lose it. Okay. Amrav Chizda Zinsa. She sleeps around. She's an almana, right? She's an almana and getting mezonos, and she's mezaneh. She's not an Eishasi, she's an almana, but she's sleeping around. Ein la mezonos. She loses her mezonos. Amrav Yosef Kichlu Pirchasa. What do you mean? If she starts putting on makeup and getting dressed up to attract other men, obviously she's showing signs that she wants to get remarried. Ein la mezonos. She also loses the mezonos. Mandam zinsa. Kol sheken kichlo pirchasa. That means certainly kichlo pirchasa would cause her to lose mezonos, according to the one that says if she's mizana. But the other way doesn't work the same way. Mandar mekichlo pirchasa, she would lose. Aval zinsa isla, my time yetzer ansa. A woman has a yetzer hara too, and it's like she is forced to do it, to be mizana. Her yetzer forces her. She doesn't really want it, so therefore she wouldn't lose mezonos. But the less hilchasa kecholhani shmaitza. The halacha is not like Elikiyadar Shmuel Hatoivas Kesubos Bezdin Ein La Mezonos. Once she goes to Bezdin to claim her ksuba payout, then she loses mezonos. If she sells her ksuba, mishkana ksubasa, she uses her ksuba as a mashkoin. Azaz ksubasa poitiki la'acher, she uses it as a specific way of repayment for a loan. Ein la mezonos. Now, hani in aval toivas lo, but claiming that her ksuba should be paid out in Bezdin is not a reason. So hani, those meaning selling, mashkening it, making it a poitiki, that's bein bevezin, bein shlo bezdin, she would lose. But by toivas, bevezdin in, she goes to Bezdin to claim payment of her ksuba, she loses it. Shelo bevezin lo. But if she does it between her and, let's say, the Yisomim, she hasn't gone formally to Bezdin to claim payment, she continues to get mezonos. Okay. These are, of course, very important practical halachas that Bezdin have to deal with every day about what do you do with the almana after the death of a husband? Yes.
Yeah, but isn't the ksuba is an immediate payment?
No, it's not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's, again, the ksuba, let's say sacha call $100,000. That's a full payment out. And then it's paid. If she goes to Bezdin at day one, after she becomes a widow, which she'd be crazy to do, because remember, until she asks for the full payment of the ksuba to be paid, she has all these t'nai Bezdin. She can live in the house of the husband. She can get mezonos until she gets married. Period. And that's part of the t'nai Bezdin. Then let's say she 2 years from now, she gets remarried. So then she goes formally to Bezdin and the ksuba is paid out. And by the way, those things are not deducted from the value of the ksuba. So the big value of the ksuba remains the same.
I'll ask you a question. What happens?
So she goes to claim payment, gets paid, and that's it.
But what happens if there's only the exact amount of the ksuba? So she knows she's in trouble if she carries on living off that ksuba. She has to support the children, and everybody has to.
No. There's no. The Yisomim inherit from the father. They're in control of the assets. Yeah, they own the assets.
But let's say the assets are only 200, whatever whatever the ksuba.
Remember, we learned if the assets are not enough, she has priority number one. The assets are paid for her mezonos, and they have to go knocking on doors.
I understand. So that's why. So I don't understand. So if the Bezdin finds her doing this and doing that, so what's the difference? She could go right away and say, "Listen, give me my ksuba." But
then the chiyuv to pay the mezonos ends. So she doesn't want to do that. She's going to hold on to that ksuba without the ksuba being closed out by final payment as long as she can go.
Yeah,
if there's unlimited funds.
But this
like
is
the women who get divorced.
This is a t'nai Bezdin, correct? This is a t'nai Bezdin.
Yes.
This is not anything to do with her husband and her. Her husband, when he wrote to the ksuba, he said, "Listen, this is your money. Have a nice day. This is your money." The Bezdin decided that.
No, so part of the t'nai Bezdin, there's the ksuba, the mona masayim, the sacha called the big amount, and then there's the t'nai Bezdin, which is that she can live in the house until she gets remarried, and she gets mezonos paid. That's why we're going through these cases. Well, if she does this and this and this, maybe she loses her mezonos. because that would be in the benefit of the Yisomim. But you saw the halacha is not like any of those. Not like any of those. It's when if she goes to Bezdin to ask for, I want my ksuba paid out, and I'm done, then she loses mizonos. Before then, she doesn't.
Okay.
As long as there's plenty of assets, I have friends right there, in doctor world, they divorce their wives, and the wives never get remarried. They have boyfriends, but they continue to draw. In California, they continue to draw whatever alimony or whatever because they technically have not remarried. It's the same concept in regular law. Okay. The Mishnah described the machlokes in the nusach of the ksuba the way they wrote it. That in Yerushalayim, I'm happy to learn this Gemara here in Yerushalayim. And in the Galil, they would write that she could live in her house of the husband and get mizonos all of her days of being an almana. Anshe Yehuda would write that ad sheyitnu lo hayorshim es haksuba. That was the machlokas in the Mishnah. Itmar, Rav Amar halacha kanshe Yehuda. Shmuel Amar halacha kanshe Galil. Bavel v'chol parvada no karav. Bavel and all of the suburbs in that area near Bavel followed the sheet of Rav. Narda, the whole part of Nog Kishmuel. Narda and its environs paskin like Shmuel in how they wrote the Ksuba. Oh my God, I have a nusach of a Ksuba, of a Besula be'eretz Yisrael according to Minig Ashkenazim. It's nothing like our Minig, like when we read our Ksubas. So you see, there's different nuschos. People, Rabbonim, come to the wedding with I have a kuntras from Rav Avram Cohn. One word here, one word different. By the way, those of us who were at the wedding, we were at a Sephardi wedding. We were at an Ashkenazi wedding where there was a Sephardi Rav, and he read the Ksuba under the chuppah, and he read Hakol Shorir Uborir V'Kayim. Right? We say Hakol Shorir V'Kayim at the end of the Ksuba. We say Le'el B'Mana de Kosher L'Mikne Bey Hakol Shorir V'Kayim. That's Minhag Ashkenaz. They say Hakol Bor V'Tzah here. Okay. That means this Gemara is going through the Machloiksim Nuschos. So even in the time of Chazal, there was a machlokas between Yerushalayim and the Galil versus Yehuda. The later Amiroim had a machlokas how they paskin, Rav and Shmuel, and they're telling us in Bavel they did this way, Narda they did that way. Okay, Hayi Bas Mechuzah, there was a girl in Mechuzah, the Havis Nesivil and Narda. Mechuzah is near Bavel, which technically they followed Rav, but she got married to somebody from Narda. Also, the Kamed Rav Nachman. So the Shaila came how they should write the Ksuba. Shama Lakala Devas Mechuzah. He heard that she's from Mechuzah. Amar Lahu, well, Bavel v'chol parvano karav. Well, she's from Bavel because Mechuzah was near Bavel. We paskin like Rav. Amar Lev Ala Nardona Siba, but she's marrying a guy from Narda. Amar Lu Yachi Narda v'chol parvano Geshmuel. Okay, so we follow the chassan. If the girl is from a certain place and the chassan is from a different place, we follow the nusach like the chassan. However, v'adhecha narda, what was considered the gvul, right? The city limits of Narda, adhecha desagi kabad narda. There was Narda used certain measurements. Like in England, they use a 12 inches. That was the British system. And In Europe, they use the metric system. They used a different meter to measure. They used a different length to measure lengths. So apparently, Nardah had a certain way of measuring where that place ended. That the influence of Nardah did not exist when they used a different midah. Okay, Itmar, Almana. Okay, she comes to Beis Din, the widow, and now wants payout of her ksuba. So Rav Amar Shami Mashallah, when they calculate how much they have to pay, they look at how much what clothes she's wearing, and they include in that amount what she's wearing. Shmuel Amar ain't Shami Mashallah. No, that's not included in the calculation. What she's wearing is extra. Rav Chia Baravin, the chilufa, the lokit. The opposite is by schir shagar beves balabais. You have a worker who's paid, a paid worker who lives in the house of the balabais. V'lakach lo balabais begodim, and the balabais bought clothing for him, work clothing. Now, kishiyotze bimenu sham oisam begodim b'scharo. When they come calculating his wages, they calculate the cost of the garments like Shmuel. The Rav says no, he gets paid separate from the garments that he was given. The Rav Sham.
How can they say about a woman? Because it says specifically in the Ksuba, besides the mana or the Messiah, but you have to clothe her also. So why would that be included in the mana of the Messiah?
Because this is the final payment.
I know, but it's not concluded. But he has to clothe her.
Rashi says, "Kishemagvin lo Beis Din ksubasa, shamin begodim bepiron ksuba." They calculate these garments. Listen, that's something that he provided for financially. So is that considered? The husband's not alive anymore, and they owe her $50,000, but she's wearing. We're not talking about what she has in her suitcase. That which is what she's wearing can be deducted or not. That's what the question
is. But the question, why would they have a separate in the ksuba? You have to give her clothes. Does it say that you have to provide her clothes in the ksuba?
Okay.
So that's besides the.
Sipukaichi is mezoinos. Ksusaichi is your clothing.
But then besides the Messiah mana that you have to give her the clothes. So why would that clothes ever be figured into the?
But when it came to be paid out the final amount, there's a machloikes, Rav and Shmuel.
I know, but why would
regarding the clothing that's on her? Regardless of the fact that because perhaps that's, oh yes, he buys her clothing, but it'll be deducted from the ksupa.
Okay.
And the opposite is by this lokit, by when you have to pay a worker. Rav Kahana Masli v'chein belokit. Rav Kahana says no, it's the same. The machlokas Rav and Shmuel is the same by a lokit. Umanach basimona. How do we know this machlokas? Yasma v'armloso shalach upuk. That the yasam and almana is the same as shalach upuk. That means when you send out the worker from you, it's the same shita by the almana. Or Rav Nachman. Alpha gav this not b'mastis and kavos de Shmuel. Even though the Mishnah seems to be like Shmuel, Hilchos Kavasi de Rav. Halacha follows Rav that you can deduct the clothing. Desnan echad amagdish nechasav. If a person donates all of his assets to the base of Midrash, echad amarchas atzmo, or he says erech alai, he says I want to give my value to the base of Midrash. Ein lo biksus ishto. You don't count the value of his clothes, of wife's clothing. The lo biksus bon of not his children's clothing. V'lo b'tzeva shetzova lishman. Or let's say they bought clothing that are being dyed for them. That means for the wife or the children, even though they haven't worn them yet. Or new shoes that they haven't worn yet. You brought me a Mishnah supporting Shmuel. Why would the halacha be like Rav? If you read it quickly, the Mishnah, you might think that it's like Shmuel. But if you look at it more carefully, the halacha is more like Rav, my time, like the way Elazar was, saw that it's written seems that it should be separate. My time, when he gave her the begodim, it's that he should see her wearing them when he's with her. But when she's going to take the assets and leave him, right? Because now as Nalmana, it's not like she's wearing the clothes in front of him. He didn't give that to her for that. It's only when we say the begodim are extra, that's while she's living with him. So that might explain what Elazar was asking about. Kalsa de Bar El Yoshiv, the daughter of Bar El Yoshiv, Havalei Tova Kesubos Daf, was claiming she wanted payment of a ksuba. Have kamanti lula beidina. She brought him to Bezdin. Amra zilal on milsa de tezli hachi. Bar Yoshev was the Yisomim said they were smart. She was wearing like a house coat, so the Yisomim told her, put on nicer clothing. It's like embarrassing to us. You come this way, because they knew the halacha that whatever she's wearing at the time of she's tovei ksuba, they can deduct, right? She put on like the most expensive clothing, the whole value. This is a trick. He wrote in his will that he wanted to give an adunya to his daughter.
Sounds like they're fabulous kids, by the way.
Right. There was a certain set amount what the nedunya should be in terms of clothing and jewelry. Let's say it's $1,000 at that time. And then Zal nedunya. And then it got cheaper. You could buy it for $800. So this $200 difference between the time that he wrote the tzavah when they actually paid for it, who gets the profit? They don't have to spend $1,000 since they can get it was a known amount, like a trousseau. Every bride got X. They got so many house coats and so many whatever jewelry. At the time that the guy wrote the tzavah for the nedunya, was worth $1,000 at that time to buy all of it. Now later on, when it was actually going to be purchased, it only was $800. Who gets the extra $200? So the Gemara says, "Purna liyasmi," the Yisraelim get the benefit. The father had said, "I want to give my daughter 400 zuz worth of wine should be given to," and at that time it was 10 liters. But in the meantime, iyakar chamra, then it became more expensive. You could only buy 8 liters. I'm sorry. He gave 10 barrels, which were worth 400 zuz. Now it's more expensive, worth 500 zuz. Who gets the profit? They get the profit. They only have to give her 400 worth, and they can keep the other 100 worth. So listen, here is what Walter was asking. Relatives of Rav Yochanan, they had an Eshes Av, right? They had a widow. The father had died. and she was being mafsid. There was a large money, but she's using mezoinus. The estate's going away paying the mezoinus. And by the way, she was noyeg. She was spending it in a very frivolous way. Mar belecho. She went out to Shiloh every night. She went out to Pat's every night. You understand? There's mezoinus. There's mezoinus.
But hold on a second. Isn't the ksuba held in like in a trust? In other words, ksuba is put aside. Now the rest of the money is mezoinus. You can't.
No, absolutely not. That's this thing that we talked about today. There's a set value, $80,000. If she wants the ksuba paid out, the mezonos is all on top of that. And the mezonos go on for 20 years. It could be $500,000. So the value of the ksuba is much. It's the monoma sign. That's why there's still ksuba and there's snai bezdin.
So what she can eat and she can drink and she can have nice clothing. What's the difference?
So no, but the l'chora there was like a per diem. There's a normal per diem set by the law. She was being mavazbez. Rashi.
Who's setting that?
Rashi says, we're going to see. Crave it. There's a sugya. Crave it Rav Yochanan Isas Abodav Kamafsadi Mezoini.
Yeah, but maybe
she was eating mezoinos more than normal.
But maybe she's used to that. Maybe she's used to that. The Gemara doesn't say, certain people are used to certain things and certain people are not. There's no difference here.
But she was a mavazbez. She's noiheges bibizboinos.
But she was a mavazbez during the marriage too.
Let's say she wasn't.
Yeah, but that's not what the Gemara says.
Yeah, but so l'chora, what's the gather of being mavazbez? It's like what you're saying. How did she live when she was married? Now she's going out to Shiloh every night. That's somebody who's mavazbez, right?
I hear what you're saying, but it just
so that's the shaila. So let's see what they want. So they came for an eitzah. Osla kamed Rav Yochanan. They came to Rav Yochanan to ask an eitzah. Listen, she's eating us out of house and home. What can we do? Armelu ezel v'imru le'lavuchen den yachid le'ara le'mezoinai. Or the father, I guess, hadn't died yet. Right? So he told them.
How can that be?
No, they said because he's lech lavuchen, den yachid la'ar lemezona. They must have. Anyways, the answer was.
It's a strange.
The miyached, a specific piece of land, a karka misuyemes for the mezoinos. And if she agrees to accept that karka in lieu of the mezoinos, she's moichel on the rest.
I think the income from that property.
He hadn't died yet. Uve'edim. Ulaita kabbalalei. That means they were worried that she was going to be a mavazbez. And she was still alive. And he was writing at Savah. So with Edim, he advised that let him write, I'm going to designate this piece of land, period, for the mezoinos. And maybe she'll accept it, right? She's ulai to kabbalah. She doesn't have to accept. Of the ksubasa. Rabbi Yossi, in kibla alei, afu pishla kosovla. So she has to accept. Lish nachrina, davle kemachali l'chosov al piv, v'nosan shar nechosim l'bonav avu, v'shubodi v'in abonus f'eshin yizozim v'shubodi, means the answer given Rav Yochanan was to designate a piece of land which would cover them. Once she accepts that, then they're off the hook. Then they have to give her only the amount.
She didn't get possession of the land. She just got the revach from that piece of land.
No,
she didn't inherit the land.
No. The value they told him, the eitzuk was given that he should designate a piece of land that's worth $50,000, a set piece of land. And that would be for the mezonos. That puts a limit on it. Then it's done. If they could convince her to accept that, that would solve the problem. If she won't accept, then they're stuck. Mezonos has to be paid. She lives another 50 years, mezonos will have to be paid from it. Also, Kamei Reish Lakish Lodun. So that was the eighth of Rav Yochanan. They went to Reish Lakish. Armelu Kol Shekin Sheribala Mezonos. That it's not an out. What he did, he has to pay Mezonos and that. It's just to give him more shibud for karka that it would be added from that piece of land. Remember, once you have karka, then if it's sold, they could the woman can always go back from lekuchos and take it back because it's meshubit to her. Amri love Rav Yochanan Amar Achi. So they said, "What do you mean, Rish Lakish? How could you say that Rav Yochanan didn't say that? Rav Yochanan wanted to limit it, not to add it. Armelu zilu havule. No, you have to pay her whatever she needs. The ilo mafkina lechu Rav Yochanan meunaychu. And if you don't, I'm going to pull Rav Yochanan out of your ears. Also, l'kamed Rav Yochanan. So they went back to Rav Yochanan. Armelu ma'aseh. He argues with me. So it depends on the language. If, when he gave her that extra piece of land, what lashon did he use when he was miyachid the karka? If he said limazonos, he meant it's to add to it. She's going to get her mezonos, and if it's not enough, then they can get it from this piece of land. But if he said bimizonos, which basically takes the place of the mizonos, then kotzitz mizonos. Then the mizonos have been given a final set value, and they don't have to pay more than that. Halacha, Rambam, and Shulchan Aruch, Mishiyachid b'shas misa karka liishto sheteni zonos mimena. A guy at his death set aside a piece of land from his zonos. Im Omar, te karka ploinis limizosaichi, ribala mizonos. Shemaya peris karka zu pchusim mitzorcheha, right? It means, what do they feed her with? They have a piece of land. The land makes payros, and the land continually makes payros. That's how they feed her the mizonos. But let's say it's not enough. This now new piece of land it adds to it. Mekabelas called sorcho mishar nechasim. Vimhayu yiseri notelas kol payros. She gets extra. Imamar law take karka plonis bimnus l'saychich v'yishaska, and she didn't protest. Ein lo el payros osa karka bilvad. She only gets payros from that piece of land and nothing else. So it's not going to stop. It's not like I said the 50,000 karka, which produces payros, and she will continue to get mizonos from that piece of land, but no other. Otherwise, if he uses the other language, she'll get from everything, from all the assets that have. Haralach darshan is pasasa, haralach darshan is pasasa, haralach darshan is pasasa. The parak we just learned is the parak that teaches Ksuba and Tosefes Ksuba. We went through all of it. Okay. New Mishnah, Parak Hamishi. Even though the Iker Ksuba for Psula is 200 and Amon is 100, he can add more if he wants. And then Nisarmal and Nisgarsha, Beimin Arus and Beimin Asuin, if she's a widow, whether it's from Kiddushin or Nisuin or divorce, Koivis Akol, she collects it all. Rabbi Loza ben Azariah min Nisuin Koivis Akol. No, Ksuba is for Nisuin, he wants to live with her. Min Arusin, Ksula Goivim Masayim, Vamana Mana. Shloi Kosovo, Elmanas Lakoinsa. The whole point of adding the extra was he was anticipating living with her. Rabbi Yudah Imratza, Rabbi Yudah has a different sheet. Imratza Kosovo Shtar Shal Masayim. V'Koseves is Kabatim Chamana. She can be Mavater. She can say, I'll take less. She can take less. The Chacham disagree. The Tanakama disagrees with that. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, she can take less. I'll accept 100. He says, I'm going to write you a star mana. It means you can never offer less than mana Messiah. You always have to, the Baal has to say, I'll write you Messiah. But can you accept back from her a star that says, I'll accept less? So according to Rabbi Yehuda, she can. According to the Tanakama, no. In fact, Rabbi Meir Omer kol hapoiches l'psulim mimasayim l'amanim milar zebulas nus. It's not a din ksuba. It's as if you didn't write anything, so it doesn't have any validity. So the Mishnah said, "Im ratzu lahosif hosif." Pshita. I mean, why not? Why would we think he wouldn't be able to do that? Ma'od say makitzu savdu rabbanon. Maybe shalol levaishus mishein lo. Maybe the Chachamim said 200, 100, because they wanted to have a fixed. Somebody doesn't have a lot of money. They want to embarrass them, so they gave everybody the same amount. So maybe the Havamina would be that you're not allowed to do that. Kamash Malon, that no, the Chachamim are not makpid on busha, and imrotz lahoisif hoisif. So imrotz lichtov la loktani elarotz lahosif. It doesn't say if he wanted to write to her. If he wanted to add. Misaila Ravavo, Misaila Rav Aivu Am Rav Yanai. Rav Aivu Am Rav Yanai. Tanai Ksuba Ksuba Domi. All the various Tanaim Ksubim, all these extras, the Mezoinois, and other things that he's adding now as the Toisefes L'Ksuba, is considered like the regular Ksuba. What's the nafkamina? Lemoicheres, like we learned, she can sell her Ksuba as a discount, and that includes the Toisefes. If she's moichel the ksuba or to the yorshim. Therefore, the tosefes is included in the mechila. Lemoiredes. If a woman rebels, and the dinim of rebelling, she doesn't give her maisi a dime to her husband. So Beis Din fines her, and they deduct a certain amount per week from her ksuba. They do it until the whole ksuba is eaten up. So the deduction occurs even for the Tosefes. Lepoigemes. Let's say she goes to Bezin, she admits to Bezin that her husband's already given her some of the money from the ksuba. The din there is, if she wants to get paid the remainder, she has to take a shvua. It's like a moida b'miktzas, right? We're worried, maybe he paid her all of it. And letoivas. We said once the almana or the grusha comes to Bezdin and is toiveya her ksuba to get paid, she loses mazoinos. Let's say she wants the tosefes. It also is considered toivas. Uloiveres al das. If she converts to a different religion, the Chacham made a knas that she's forced to divorce her husband without a ksuba. And she doesn't just lose the ikr ksuba, she loses the toisefes. Okay, stop here. And so
a woman, yeah.
We'll learn tomorrow